Welcome to our Arts and Sciences Fall Zoomers. I'm Neva Spake, Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences, and welcome you all here. I'm going to do some introductions to start off with, and then I'm going to turn it over to our participants to tell you more about what they're going to be talking about. So we're going to start off with folks from the Mathematics and Science Education Center. We'll have Dr. Tracie McLemore Salinas, who's the director of the center, with Betty Long, who's the assistant director, Leah McManus, who's the administrative support specialist and librarian for the center, and Lori Tyler, who directs the Summer Ventures program. So they're going to be talking about things that they do for the center. And then after that, Marta Toran, who's the lecturer and outreach coordinator for the Department of Geological and Environmental Sciences, will be speaking. And then Elise Weaver, who's a lecturer and director of undergraduate astronomy lab for the Department of Physics and Astronomy, will be speaking. I think this will be great. They're going to have some hands-on things as well as talking about other aspects of STEM. So thank you for joining us. And I'm going to turn it over to Tracie.
Thank you. And thank you all for inviting us to be a part of this. There's so many great STEM activities on this campus, so much outreach and professional development that happens. It's really nice to get to share some of that. I've been the director of the center only since April the 1st of this year. So it's been an interesting time in which to step into this role and begin to work. But the great thing is there were so many good things happening already in the center. We've just been building on that. I'd like to give each of my staff members a moment to introduce themselves and say what they do in the center. And then we made a video to allow you to do a virtual walkthrough. So we didn't have to make you motion sick by carrying the computer around necessarily in this particular space. Betty, would you go ahead and say hello and explain what you do for the center?
Betty, you're muted.
I don't think so.
Now you're good now.
Very good.
I'm the assistant director of the Math and Science Education Center and also professor of mathematics in the math department here at ASU. So I wear two hats, at least two.
Thank you.
Great. As Tracie said, it's been great working with her and just trying to get all this new stuff up and running. Exciting times.
I appreciate that. Betty has really found her stride in some of these things. She's very good at doing videos and giving out door prizes on conference days. I can tell you that. Leah, would you introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Leah McManus, and you will see my face in the video. So I'm the administrative support and librarian for the Math Science Ed Center, and I've been there for about 4.5 years now. It's wonderful to have Tracie on board. You know, she's great with the vision. We love following her because we have very similar visions. And so I am usually the first point of contact for patrons and faculty members when they come in to use the center, usually for the resource room. I'm heading up some outreach to the public libraries right now to expand our resource room, and it's going quite well right now. So we're looking forward to the future at this point.
Thank y'all. And I'm not sure that Lori's with us yet. As y'all heard, we have double duty tonight because we actually have had a book club going on over the last few weeks. Betty Long and Quinn Morris, who's a professor in the Mathematical Sciences department, have been hosting this book club. And tonight, the author of that book, who is Frances Su, who was president of the National Organization for the National Council of Teachers of Mathematics, is actually going to be joining, the Mathematical Association of America is actually going to be joining that group tonight. So we have an exciting evening. I'm going to share our video walkthrough with you now, though, so you can get a look at what the center does, what it looks like. Give me one moment here. And well, I have my thing open here, but it's not letting me pull that particular screen in. So 1 second. Let's try it a slightly different way then. Unless you have it ready to go, Ellen, let's see.
I can do that.
Let me let you do it because it's not giving me as an option, that is an option to share on my screen.
Okay,
here we go. Let's do it. The Mathematics and Science Education Center is part of the Wright College of Education at Appalachian State University, as one of several units that connect research.
Sorry, I'm gonna let that try to catch up. Seems to be loading here.
The Mathematics and Science Education Center is part of the Wright College of Education at Appalachian State University. As one of several units that connect research to practice for educators and the community, the center focuses on STEM education. You'll find the center on the 5th floor of the College of Education building, where the center staff is always ready to greet you, or nowadays to answer your emails. The director is Tracie Salinas, Assistant Director Betty Long, Administrative Assistant and Librarian Leah McManus, and Director of the Summer Ventures Program, Lori Tyler. One of the best known services at the center is its resource library, where teachers, students, faculty, and more can find manipulatives, tools, texts, and more for their classroom use. You may be using it for your classroom teaching or studying as a teacher or certification student. There's a variety of services here, and you'll find materials that are perfect for chemistry, biology, earth sciences, robotics, mathematics, and more. In addition to providing materials for your teaching and learning, the center supports a variety of professional development activities. Collaborating with other programs across campus and with the Department of Public Instruction, the center regularly provides a mix of professional development opportunities in STEM areas. In addition to reaching out to teachers, we reach out to students across the state. The Summer Ventures program, held in conjunction with the North Carolina School of Science and Math, provides summer research experiences for high school students. Recently, we participated in supplying virtual space camp, and annually, we're a big supporter of the STEAM Expo. A lot of our work is done through partnerships with a variety of entities on campus and across the state. The Math Science Education Center offers a variety of services, resources, and connections. What can the center do for you? Thank you for sharing that, Ellen. So we have given you a little bit of a walkthrough, and you can see I'm in the middle of the science resource room now, where there are tons of great materials and activities. You can get lost in here actually for a couple of days, just playing with some of the materials and exploring mathematics and science. I've pulled a couple of things that I want to ask you, though, a couple of questions, give you a prompt to think about. One of those gets into some mathematics history. And what I'd like for us to think about is the fact that for many, many cultures in the world that didn't originate with Greek sorts of mathematics, they had different notions of the ways to think about mathematical proof and to think through mathematics in general. Here's one interesting problem that I'd like for you to think about. I'm going to show this to you and challenge you, but I have something else for you with paper and pencil in a second. So if you'll be grabbing paper and pencil while I show you this. This is a toy called the Tower of Hanoi. And as you can see on here, different size discs, the sizes of those change as you go up through the tower. And the challenge on here is to move each of these discs one at a time. And you can never place a larger disc on top of a small one. So we have to move that one here and this one over. The challenge is to move this tower from one peg to another completely, so that you have, there's an extra peg here, so that you completely move all of these over to a different spot. Now this actually now we recognize as a mathematical task. And we can actually solve game puzzles like this very easily using some mathematical tools. But a task like this involves rich thinking, problem solving, and relying on some pretty sophisticated mathematics, maybe without even knowing it. One fun fact about the Tower of Hanoi problem is that there is a legend that in a monastery somewhere over in the Himalayas, there's one of these with 60 pegs on it, and the monks are continuously moving those pegs. And when they finish moving the tower from one peg to another, the world will end. I'll leave you to think about that one. But hopefully you've captured some paper and pencils, and I can give you a quick question. This is another mathematics question, since I knew we were going to have some other science folks on the call. And I wanted to ask you a pretty simple question. When you think about shapes, let's think about the pretty basic shapes that you probably know of: triangles, squares, rectangles, pentagons, hexagons, and so on. There are only certain ones of those shapes that you can use to, say, tile a floor. I want you to think for just a second, maybe sketch a little bit, and think about which shapes could be used to tile a floor and why. I should have put some Jeopardy music or something up, so while you're sketching, you could think a little bit about that. There's actually a lot of mathematics behind things as simple as tiling a floor. There are particular characteristics of some shapes that make them likely to be able to tile a floor or not, without leaving any gaps or without using other shapes to fill in the spaces in between them. Does anybody have a thought about that? What shapes do you think can tile a floor? All right, so we've got a possible square, rectangle, triangle, and hexagon. Anything that has equal sides and angles, we've got some excellent thinking going on here. So there are some pieces of the right answer here. So we can think of hexagons. You've probably seen those on flooring before. And you've seen squares, triangles. Yes, all of those have the potential to tile a floor. And the clincher for these is that we can think about equilateral triangles, squares, which are themselves equilateral, and regular hexagons as the shapes that actually can work most simply to tile a floor. Now, the reasoning behind that has to do with the angle measures and the fact that the point where all of those angles come together, you have to generate a circle 360 degrees. So only certain shapes are going to be able to come together and meet in that way. I'm going to leave the rest of thinking through that to you. So maybe you can spend some time this evening sketching or looking at the floors everywhere you go now. I have to admit, every time I travel, I get stuck looking at hotel geometry on the walls and the decor. Hotels tend to use a lot of mathematical decor because it keeps the eye moving and keeps you moving through the hotel, keeps you thinking the space is very large and interesting. And so that's actually a little secret behind some of the hotel geometry that you'll see in there. Take photos next time you're in one and see something interesting and send it to me. Thank y'all so much. That's a little peek of a couple of things to think about, a little bit about what's in the center, and we will be helping answer some questions, hopefully hearing from you as we go on.
Thanks, Tracie. Are we turning it over to Marta now, I think?
Thank you. Thanks, Tracie. I think all I look for is the nearest Starbucks inside the hotel or the pool if I'm with my kids. So now I'll have something else to think about and maybe give them a little job of what to think about. Maybe go with their phones and take some photos. So I am going to share my screen and okay. Yeah. All right. So I am going to tell you guys a little bit about the outreach we do in the Department of Geological and Environmental Sciences. And I have to give a shout out now to Vulcan Materials Company and also to the College of Arts and Sciences, because they have been huge supporters for the past, I don't know how many years, at least 5, in all our outreach ventures and all the crazy ideas we've had. And they've really gone along with this. So thank you. So just kind of like an overall, just like a first glimpse, we do a lot of outreach with schools. So basically, if you don't know what outreach means, it's just our way to support regional earth and environmental education. And this involves schools, teachers, students, but also families, general public, museums, big museums, but also smaller informal science centers, And as a yearly goal, we usually try to reach between 3,000 and 5,000 people with our outreach. We try to do about 3 to 4 professional development workshops. We do over four more museum events in both North Carolina and Virginia. And we involve about 30 to 40 undergraduate students directly in the outreach efforts a year. So that's our goal. So just to tell you a little bit about like our outreach, and I want to talk about this one partnership we have that is probably the most random thing we do. And I think that really reflects the nature of our outreach in our department in terms of just like reaching just like looking for new opportunities to get science education to people. So these photos are from Hiddenite, North Carolina, and it's about an hour away. And when we first got approached to do an event in Hiddenite, we were asked to do an event for the Heritage and Arts Festival in Hiddenite. We had no idea where Hiddenite was. We were approached by an art professor, so it was really random. And we're like, okay, I don't know where we fit in. And she's like, well, can you do something with geology? And I'm like, okay, sure. So we'll do some arts and crafts like that have to do with geology, bring geology, education to kids and stuff. So we get there, and it's this huge festival that is in one strip. The town only has one main road, and it's all over the main road. And you have everything from people churning butter to like animal auctions, to a lot of booths with all kinds of weird flags. Crafts, I mean, there were so many different things, but it was huge and there were so many people. And here we are in the middle of it with a little table and with our sign. And we had, I brought a couple of students and they were like, where did we end up? And people there, a lot of people had never heard of App State. Like they had never heard of it. And I said, I even changed my accent. So maybe it was my accent. I even said App State, Appalachian State, App State football. And some people had never heard of it. So we were really surprised. But this really kind of like highlighted how great it is that we're able to get to these communities, not only to tell them about App State, but also to bring science education that they might not otherwise be exposed to. So we brought all kinds of minerals. They made stamps with different mineral shapes. So it was great. So then the second year we were asked to go again. And I was like, okay, but it was really random, but okay, let's go. And she's like, they really liked it. So anyway, we brought the GeoBago, the mobile app I'll show you about, and we set up this huge green screen. It's part of a grant we have for people to picture themselves as geologists. And you can see up here in the photo, a grandpa with the 2 grandkids, and people loved it. And they dressed up with all kinds of like volcanologist outfits, hydrologist outfits, and they were coming back for more pictures, and they brought like their whole family. So anyway, it was really fun, but it was just totally random, but really fun. And yeah, people really appreciate it. So then now we have this partnership with the whole town where we're trying to bring to light the story behind the town, which is, if you've never heard of it, it's where this mineral Hiddenite was actually discovered. And it's why it's named, the reason why it's named Hiddenite is because this geologist Hidden kind of came to the town when they discovered these minerals, and the town was named after him. So in this picture down here, this was actually last week. I went and they gave me a tour of one of the historical mansions that they've recreated. And we're going to try to dig up information about Hidden to kind of help them, the town, tell the story about the geology and these discoveries. So it was really cool because now we found all these letters from Hidden to Thomas Edison, and it's just like it became a partnership that's going to be really central to this foundation, which is like the heart of the town. So I'm really excited to see where where it goes from here. But yeah, I thought that was kind of neat, just something that's totally unexpected. So just to move back a little, so we have facilities on campus. If you haven't been here, we have designated outreach facilities, both indoor and outdoor. We involve a lot of students from our department and from many different ones, and we involve a lot of faculty in the outreach. And we do all kinds of different things, from big museum events to small groups of like 6 scouts. And we also provide a lot of resources for teachers. So here's some shots. I have like a million pictures, so that's, I didn't know how to like narrow it down. So just to give you, and especially after I saw the mountain, the Everest presentation the other day, which was like unbelievable. I had it in my huge screen at home. I'm like, this is like really great. And then I'm like, oh no, we have to present a few days. So anyway, I started getting a little nervous. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna put a bunch of pictures of kids, because who can resist, kids. So anyway, we do big groups, small groups, on campus, at their school, in a park, in a stream, in a quarry. We've done it all. Wherever they need us, we go, and I drag as many students as I can. And most of the time they have no idea where we're going or what we're doing, but usually they really get a lot out of it. So part of the facilities on campus, the rock garden, we recently got our newest arrival, which is Archie the Aedosaur. And this was a really a great collaborative project. There's a lot of people that donated, and a lot of entities that donated money to create a life-size version of the North Carolina Aedosaur. So if you haven't seen it yet, make sure to stop by. And that's going to be great. We're going to do a lot of programs with that coming up. Teacher workshops, a lot of the teacher workshops, or most of them, are either funded through grants or through the Vulcan Materials Company. We're able to do about 4 or 5 a year, depending on the topics that we're doing and the grants we have. And we will do them here on campus or in different museums or centers. So here's a picture of my team for one of the Rocking North Carolina workshops, which we've done about 6 times already. And this was in Winston-Salem. So you can see Carly and Sarah explaining the rock cycle and the rock locations in North Carolina. And over here you have the paleontology team presenting in Virginia. So they spent 2 full days in Virginia in the museum with all kinds of fossils and teaching aids. We also do field events. So this is Katie at the Watauga, at the Environmental Field Days in Watauga, which is 2 full days with the 5th graders. We also do days with the 8th graders, which are a whole other animal, but they like being outside in the stream. And we have all kinds of rubber ducks we throw in the stream and have them do hydrology. They do water flow and all kinds of calculations. And then we do a monthly geotots activity at the Children's Playhouse with the 2 to 5 year olds. So that's our monthly program. These are some of the teacher resources we provide. So we have a loaner kid repository in Rankin, and they can borrow the kits. They can go online, and they're all themed. So if they need fossils or minerals or earthquake materials, they can go to our outreach website and they can click on the loaner kits. And it's thinking. All right. Thinking too slow for me, so I'm going to move on. But anyway, they can click on it and they can see the contents of the kit. So, all right. And we also bring them to their schools. So this is 1st grade, Hardin Park. We brought all the 1st graders in the entire county. All the 1st grade teachers got a kit with rocks and some lesson plans that go with it. And we have our designated website. We put all our teaching materials there, all the information for the general public. You can just go to earth@appstate.edu and check out the outreach section. So as I mentioned, one of our main focuses is to get as many students and faculty involved. And they do everything from volunteer. We also have paid positions for interns and for tutors, and they do everything from planning to executing the actual events. Even this year with COVID, we've had a huge interest in just being involved. This is something that the department has really focused on for the last few years. And we have a full new set of members, and we're hoping, like, even they're just so itching to do something that they came with a mass and helped put together all these different kits for remote learning kids. So even with all the restrictions, they're really excited to go. So faculty too, we try to, most of the grant proposals have a broader impact section. So we've done, we focus those on K through 12 outreach. And here are some examples of the proposals that we have going on right now, and some of the events that faculty have been involved in, like BAMF in the bottom, or the homecoming parade. And this is our GeoBago, which is the converted mobile lab. And I'm going to play a little video tour in a second so you can check it out. And I apologize for my editing because there was, not only was it like the busiest morning on River Street, so it's really loud, but the alarm, the fire alarm was out of batteries. So I had to say it really quick because every like minute and a half, it was like, buzzing. So, and it's terrible editing. Okay, hold on, I need to change the audio. Wait, let me just change it so you can hear it. Oh, I think it's already there. Okay. You hear it?
This is our GeoBago. It's the converted RV that we use for outreach. It's been in operation now for about 2 years, and we've traveled all over the state with it, from the rural schools here near Boone all the way to the museums in Durham. And it's allowed us the possibility to bring a lab-like experience to schools. So let's check it out. This is the inside of the GeoBago, the Mobile Earth and Environmental Science Lab. And it's meant to give school kids and the general public the feeling of being in a real lab. Some of these kids might have never been in a lab, so this just gives them a taste of the kinds of instruments and activities you might be doing in a lab. And the idea behind it is to be a very flexible space where we have the activities stored in the cabinets, and then depending on the nature of the event, we can take out one set of apparatus or another. So for example, if it's a fossil fair at a museum, a fossil fest, we might have a fossil sorting activity, or we might have a molding, a casting activity where they make their own fossil out of clay to take home. If we're doing something with fourth graders, we might be looking at the rocks and minerals of North Carolina. And because we have electricity, we are able to have the microscopes out. We have 5 microscopes in the mobile lab, and we have activities based on sand identification. We have microfossils that they can look, and they also look at microinvertebrates, for example, in a stream, to determine the water quality. We might have an area where students are able to try on geologist gear, for example, and explore the items that a scientist might carry with them to the field, or have some books out with information about geoscience careers or a concept sorting activity, or just use it as a place where students can work on the handouts they might be given. The bench on this side also serves as the wet bench, where we can do messier activities, and we can also do things like water quality testing, and in this case students were comparing salinities of different mountain streams. The GeoBago has been a great addition to our outreach programming in the Department of Geological and Environmental Sciences. It's been a big hit everywhere we've taken it, whether it's with a couple classes at a school, or at a field event at a park, or a museum with a big community crowd. we've had really good feedback, and sometimes it requires quite a bit of crowd control. We bring between 2 and 4 students to help with the activities. Sometimes we set up a couple of tables outside to split up the crowd, but it has been great, and we really look forward to continue the program. All right, so yeah, that was 2.5 minutes of torture for me. Having to watch myself. Yes, terrible editing, sorry. But anyway, you got the idea of the GeoBago. It really has been great. And the kids love coming in. The career days are really fun when they come in and they see all the, we feature all these different environmental science careers. And yeah, it's been really fun. You know, teaching a class of high school, like 10 high schoolers in there after lunch can get a little tricky, but it's been great. So how have we, so we haven't been able to do much in person since COVID started, but we have continued trying to support the communities any way we can. And for us, it's really important that all our outreach is sustainable. And by that, I mean that we don't just do things with one school once. We really try to build relationships. And most of our programs just continue year after year with the same schools and in new capacities, but we really try to maintain their relationships. So we've offered virtual teacher professional development programs. We have made tons of remote learning kits. And we've partnered with organizations such as the Children's Playhouse, which is going to deliver these kits to low-income children here in the Watauga community. We've also partnered with Vulcan to provide 750 of these little kits with rocks and minerals to communities all over North Carolina. And we actually had to, yeah, so we're actually putting those together now with them. But this is mainly, you know, the Vulcan is, yeah, it's been going to deliver them all. So, and then we also work with McDowell County Middle School. So you have, I recruit students to do all these stuffing, the little kits and stuff. So this is what a Zoom with a geologist program might look like. And you can see, I think we have at least 3 or 4 faculty members here. So they're always up for joining. In this case, I think it was a group of scouts, and they were in like upstate New York. So we have like people finding us really randomly. So whatever the College of Arts and Sciences paid website, like however it's, you know, the search engine optimization is done, we have people, we've sent kids to Washington State, to California. We've Zoomed with people from upstate New York that we had no connection with. And probably the best one is we are collaborating with a team of scientists in Chad, Africa, in a national park in Chad. Yes, we all had to look at where Chad was in the map. And because they are converting a truck into a mobile lab. So we've Zoomed with them and to give them ideas on how to do that. So I thought that was really neat, the fact that they found us. It was really random. So these are some of the kits we make. They're either already sent or they're in progress. And then we deliver them either in the middle of the, you know, we bring them to them or they come to us. And we've also done art competitions. So those were someone in Ashe County. And we've provided materials online. So for example, when there was the earthquake in Sparta, we have the seismologist, actually he's not a seismologist, he's a geophysicist. And he provided us information about it right away. And we went on social media and provided information over there. And then we did the teaching materials. So that's one way we do it. So I was just gonna show you a little, since, you know, Ellen said to have some hands-on stuff, and it's hard to do hands-on stuff, you know, in Zoom and with geology, but I can show you something we do with the like first graders, and it's making their own geode. So if someone wanted to make them with their kids, you could go on our website and it will give you the page. And this is great because obviously, you know, to make your own geode, you would have to spend, you know, thousands of years waiting in nature, but you can actually make one inside an eggshell. So this is what our
sorry, this is what like our educational materials section of the website looks like. So you could go to K through 2, and we're going to go here to magnificent minerals, and we're going to go to make your own egg geode, and you would get the information on how to make your own geode. So, you know, maybe for when your kids finish remote learning, or, you know, you can have them do this and entertain themselves with that. So it's really great. You just, all you do is you mix, I have some examples. You mix water with salt or with like borax, but table salt works really well and is probably safer. And you make a solution that is super saturated, so until it doesn't dissolve anymore. And then you basically pour it into these eggshells, you know, so you just empty eggshells, and add a little food coloring. And a couple of weeks later, you will have big crystals. And the more patient you are, the bigger the crystals. And if you're not patient at all, you can just put them in the oven, which is what I did. And you get some nice crystals, and the kids love it. Yeah, you're not going to get the full effect, the shiny effect. But anyway, but you can see there, we usually go to the school and do it with them, and then we bring it back to campus. And when they come to campus to look at the actual minerals, they get to open their geode eggs, and it's very exciting for them. So yeah, really easy everyday materials, and we have. And then we also make them out of clay and glitter. So with the little kids, and most of the time our students actually have more fun than the kids themselves. Like you can see Megan here, it's like the most excitement she's had all week. So we're really, yeah, we also offer that kind of entertainment. So definitely try it out next snow day. I really, we really have to thank all the partners that we have, because we just kind of join in on their efforts to provide support to the communities. So I already mentioned Vulcan and the College of Arts and Sciences, but so many entities on campus. The admissions office, we work with them with all the groups of kids they bring to campus to tour the campus, and with groups like As You Lead. So we partner with them year round, and we do about one group a week. And then all kinds of different regional organizations and yeah, museums and stuff. So it's been, we really couldn't do it without all these. So that is it for me. And yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. We have, we are pretty active on social media, so it's really the best way to see what we've been doing. So there's the Instagram and Facebook, and really, like, if you just go to, especially our Instagram account, we have a lot of pictures, and you can see how, you know, what the students have been doing, what they're doing for outreach, what labs have been doing, and so on. So I am happy to answer any questions. If not, I'll turn it over to Elise.
Thanks, Marta.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for showcasing all this. I'm going to go ahead and let Elise go, and then why don't we take questions at the end, if that's okay with everybody. Okay. Elise, you're up.
I'll stop sharing.
All right, I'm unmuted now. What you see that looks kind of like a Zoom background is actually our go-to astronomy lab in Rankin Science. So if I'm a little snuffly, it's because it is quite cold in here, because we can't air condition an area where we have telescopes, because, you know, air conditioning tends to make the air move around, and that induces twinkle, which is generally considered bad. But so I just came on this summer as a director of undergraduate astronomy lab. So while we have lots of exciting things that are hopefully to come, a lot of that hasn't happened yet for obvious reasons. But what I would like to do first is show you a video that was made by Beth Davison, the documentarian here at App State, to give you an idea of what the lab is like. Because when I tell you that this whole roof rolls off, it's really hard to imagine what that looks like. So I'll put this up. She also put some pretty music to it. So let me share my screen. All right. There we go. see.
I don't think we hear your computer sound, but we can see it.
Um,
There we go.
All right, so I'm sorry that y'all couldn't hear the nice ambient music that, that went with that. I have sent to Ellen the YouTube video clip, so if you want to watch it again with the music that Beth provided, that is there. So as you could see, we have 15 telescopes up here, plus a solar scope in the corner. And so this particular lab is pretty unique in the world because it is completely dedicated to undergraduate use. So normally in an array like this, if it exists, it might be for research, but for us, we use it for teaching, which is really incredible, especially since the vast majority of the people that work on these scopes are not STEM majors at all. So currently what we're doing is we have a few students who are working with us who are helping us get everything nice and organized in here. The lab in March when COVID hit hard and people had to go home, the lab was pretty much left. So a lot of dust is settled, a lot of things just need to be cleaned up, and it's a great learning experience for the students because they're learning how the telescopes operate in detail through doing all of this. And of course, on pretty days, we're able to take the roof completely off, which everybody enjoys. Let me tell you, it never gets old opening up this facility. It really doesn't. But hopefully we will be able to have scout groups out again and other outreach events. I already have a list of people that I am building to email once we can open back up again. But until then, I want to do a little hands-on demonstration that I recently did for a bunch of Girl Scouts over Zoom, and they really enjoyed it. So hopefully y'all will as well. Because one of the things that I get asked most frequently about viewing the night sky is, so which cell phone app is the best to use to see the night sky? And unfortunately, the answer is none of them. They're all terrible, in my opinion. Now, I know what I'm looking at, but I've also been doing astronomy for like 25 years. So, you know, they can help me, but they might not help the average viewer. And the other problem with them is that, you know, you're holding them up. Where's my phone? You're holding them up, and the thing that you're looking at is behind the phone. So, and then when you move it down, of course, the phone is now the picture has changed, so you can't look at it. So really, it's not a very good tool, in my opinion. What you need instead is one of these. I'm just kidding. This is actually like the old cell phone kind of equivalent. So what this is this is a piece of paper with little turning wheels that if you want to find a constellation, you turn it to the constellation you're looking at, and then it tells you what direction to look. I found this in my office when I took it over, and it's a really neat bit of astronomy history. But yeah, this is the 20s and 30s equivalent of the cell phone apps that you hold up to the night sky. But the even older equivalent is a star wheel. So let me stand up here. All right, I need someone's birthday. Anybody?
September 2nd.
September 2nd. Okay, so a star wheel has two pieces, and this one I printed off of Sky and Telescope. There we go. So they're free to buy, or you can get them in a lot of if you go to a museum gift shop, they're going to have one of these. And so I just printed out on regular paper. I sent the link to Ellen, so y'all can have that. And so you have the star wheel itself, and then you have the holder. I printed out on regular paper, and then since I didn't have any card stock, I just taped it onto some manila folder and cut it out. So if you look at the star wheel here, you can see that there are different dates on them. So we said September 17th, right? Second, I was close. That's February. You know, I really should turn this around. It's much easier. There we go. So here we have September. And then on this other part, we have different, and this is a little shiny, so it's hard to see, different times. So what you want to do if you want to know what the sky is going to look like on September 2nd at, say, midnight, which is a nice time of day if you're an astronomer. Let's see. Go back to September. I'm just going to round it to September 1st because that's easier, because the dates are every 5 days. So what you do is you align your date with the time. And of course, there's accounting for daylight savings time if you're in a place that does that, which we all are, presumably. And so this shows you what the night sky is going to look like at that time. So if you notice, there's facing south, facing north, facing west, and facing east on here. That shows you what's on the horizon at that time. So what you would do is, let's say we're facing south. That's a good way to face. If you hold up the star wheel, and you're facing towards the south, then the middle of this is going to be about overhead, depending on your latitude. If we're at 36 degrees north latitude, so you're going to want one of these. It's between 30 and 40 degrees. When you download them, they'll tell you. So yeah, this can help you find what's in the night sky. And a lot of them are glow in the dark if you buy a professionally built one. Or the other thing that you need, and these have gotten much cheaper since I started doing this, is a red flashlight. So the reason that we use red is because it doesn't mess up your night vision. So it takes about 30 minutes for your pupils to expand fully in the dark, but it only takes a second for them to slam shut. So you want to be really careful when you're doing astronomy or looking at the night sky to avoid white light. And if you're, say, looking at your cell phone, if you click over to another screen or a notification comes up, of course, that's very bright blue-white light, which is going to those peoples. So have yourself a red flashlight, print out a star wheel. This is, I was looking like I'm in a horror movie there for a moment. And this will tell you where you need to be all year round. Or if you want something that's a bit more month dependent, you can look at, oh, my printer did not do a very good job on this. If you go to skymaps.com, every month they put out a free sky map that you can download and print out. And what's nice about this is that it shows you, it basically is this star wheel, except for it's printed out in a larger format. Of course, you're limited to like a index card size thing. This is more of a full page sort of deal. What's also good about this is it has objects on it. And I love this. This is how I do my observation plannings every single time I do a public outreach event, because this is such a useful tool. But it has a list of different objects that are available in the night sky. So available to see, I should say. And it breaks it down by naked eye, binoculars, and telescope objects. So if you have a pair of have a pair of binoculars, you can use this as a tool for looking at things. Now, I don't have a pair of binoculars with me, but I can tell you that if you're looking for something in the sky with binoculars, it can be really frustrating because you're looking for a tiny, tiny thing in the night sky. But a little tip of how you can do this is what you do is you try to find the general area that you're looking for, and you move your head to where that is. And instead of, say, starting with your binoculars down here and trying to go up, you put your head about where you want and then put your binoculars on. It took me years to figure that out. But once I did, it changed everything. That is about all I have for y'all. If you, what was that? Oh, well, you know, Mary Farrell, it's okay. You can print a new one out. And they do change very slowly over time. So maybe you just needed a new one. And the cell phone apps, they work great for some folks. It just depends on how your brain works. If you are very easily able to move something down and see, remember what it looked like, it might be better for you. For me, it's a little complicated. So whatever works. Yes, I am happy to show you in person, Marta. In fact, I think that your outreach program is extraordinary, and I hope to talk with you later about building our own. So if I know we've been talking, saying there are going to be questions at the end, but I think I'm the last person going, correct, Ellen? All right, so if you have any questions, please let me know.
What was the website for the round star chart?
Okay, yes, Jaden. So it's skymaps.com.
Thank you.
And if you type in freeskymaps.com, as I remembered earlier today, it will send you to an astrological site. Not the same thing.
I put those links in the chat again. There's the sky maps and the other one that you shared with us.
Thank you, Ellen. I appreciate that.
Thanks, everybody. So we'll open it up. If you want to put questions in the chat, that's fine. Or if you want to just ask, or we can just kind of do it that way too. So.
I have a question. Can you hear me? This is for Elise. Elise, this may seem like a weird question, but I just love astronomy and everything. And I have a favorite constellation, and mine is Orion. Do you have a favorite constellation, and why?
You're muted, Elise.
Yeah, I was sorry. I had to find my mouse for a second. Believe it or not, mine is Orion as well. My middle name is actually Oriana. So it was named after that constellation. I'm very fond of it. My other favorite is Cassiopeia, which is very near Orion. And it's the giant W in the sky, or E or M, depending on which one you prefer. I'm just happy to be out in the mountains where I can see all of them, and especially when I can see the Milky Way, because that's just, it never gets old. I can't hear you, Mary.
I'll take the liberty of asking you one more question.
Sure.
If you could go anywhere and stargaze to have the best experience as far as the lights or lack of lights, where would you go?
That's an interesting question. I think that my favorite place to go that I've been thus far would be the Anza Borrego Desert, that's west of San Diego. Not only are there just extraordinary sculptures out there, which I just love, but the stars in the desert are like nothing else in the entire world. It's the most amazing thing.
Thank you. I'll write that down. That's the bucket list. Thank you.
No problem. It's a stunningly beautiful area with stunningly beautiful stars.
Thank you.
Elise, I might have you mention, just because I know it was hard to get video of everywhere, but also the Dark Sky Observatory, because that's in a location that does public events, if you want to mention that.
Absolutely. So I didn't include it in the video because it's not my purview, but we do have the Dark Sky Observatory out in Deep Gap, and Dan Caton is doing a lot of remote outreach work, which hopefully we'll be able to do some of when we're a little bit better organized. So there we have 5 telescopes. App State has a lot of telescopes, a lot of really wonderful telescopes. And so that is an optical ridge. So what we have is we have basically the top of a mountain out in the middle of nowhere, far beyond any cell phone signal. And we have the new visitor center. I say new because it was very new when I was here in grad school. It just opened up like the year after I graduated. So to me, it's new. So there's a beautiful visitor facility, and that's attached to the largest of our telescopes, which is the 32-inch telescope. So that is a remarkable facility with extraordinary skies that is available for outreach events once it's safe to do so again, and virtually before then. Thank you, Eva, for posting that link to Dark Sky.
And I put it in the chat, but the Math Science Ed Center has been working with Dan to set up a virtual experience from Dark Sky, and we're planning on Thursday, January 21st. So we'll collaborate with y'all to get that promoted and shared, because it's actually an amazing time, even though technology has kind of separated us in some ways, we can bring a lot of people together in ways that we haven't before. And that's something we're hoping to do.
That's wonderful. I look forward to that. There's so many exciting things going on here. And as someone who's very new to App State, just seeing all of the outreach programs that are going on is so wonderful and so wonderful to be a part of.
Well, I don't know if anybody else wants to add anything before we thank everybody. And we are planning to do additional Zoomers in the spring. We haven't got our dates yet, but we'll be sending those out. And I know some of you have been very faithful followers of our CAS Zoomers, so thank you for attending. Anybody else have anything? Ellen, Carrie, anybody we need to add anything else? Okay, well, I'm just going to thank our guests for all their wonderful videos and things that they've said. I'm always amazed at the amount of outreach we are doing. And I think it's terrific. And I know our students all over the state are really benefiting from that. And I think that leads us to have a lot of people who end up applying because they learned about Appalachian at a arts festival or through some other kind of outreach. So thank you to all of you who do that. And thank you for joining us tonight. And I hope you have a good rest of your evening.